Welcome to Brandstorm, the podcast that talks to the people behind America's brands. I'm Dan Trzinski, president of Platypus Advertising and Design.
And I'm Nancy Christopher, PR director at Platypus. The definition of a geofence is a virtual perimeter around a real-world geographic area. Here to talk about how it's used in advertising and how it can benefit your company is two of our colleagues in digital marketing, Tyler Schmidt and Rob Brennan. Welcome to Brandstorm, guys.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
It's great. Thanks for traveling the 50 feet to get to the pod room.
It was treacherous.
So tell us, what is geofencing and how does it work?
Yeah, so the basic premise of geofencing, at least from a marketing perspective, is really being able to leverage location-based technology at a mobile device level to serve messaging to consumers in target geographies or what we call areas of high relevance. And the way it works is really that a geofence itself is just a targeted boundary that we set up. It can be anything from a competitor's retail store to a zip code in a geography you want to target. It can be anything, really. They're highly customizable. When someone crosses one of these predetermined geofence boundaries with their smartphone, the geofences themselves act as triggers to serve ads or messaging to those that cross them. So this is done by using Wi-Fi and location-based GPS technology.
So if we have put a fence around a company's competitor and
Yes.
I walk in as a customer into that perimeter, I would get served an ad from you.
Yeah, that's correct. If we are setting a campaign up for a client, one of the first things we do is fence our immediate competitors in that geography so that if you're a customer kind of shopping around and you happen to enter a competitor's location, we know that you're there.
Well, that's helpful. So if I'm following you right, a geofence can be set up anywhere, not just a competitor, though. You could set it up at an airport in a city, and if you were just newly arriving to the city, and I'm a must-see attraction like the Harley-Davidson Museum here in Milwaukee. Obviously, there are visitors coming in every day on an airplane. We could be serving ads saying, while you're in town, visit the Harley-Davidson Museum.
Yeah, exactly right.
Or I'm at a trade show and I want people to come to my booth. I can serve ads to tell them, hey, come see my great new product.
Sure, of course. The possibilities are, like I said, kind of endless.
You can fence lifestyle choices that people make and where they go to phones that may put them in the market to buy someone's product, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. That's where it kind of falls into that category that we define. So we have sort of a competitive set and then these areas of high relevance, which is anything where any ancillary types of locations where our target customer is likely to be.
What are some of the best ways to use geofencing in marketing, and what are the benefits to advertisers?
Honestly, the opportunities are endless with this. As marketers, we're always looking to provide kind of new and impactful and value-based solutions for clients. And we're really excited about this technology from two perspectives. One of them is really relevancy, and one is the value of this technology itself. As far as relevancy, from a marketing standpoint, geofencing really nails the concept of right message, right place, right time. And the reason for that is because if we really do our homework on where our target audience will be, or we're working from a data set or targeting an event, which tells us exactly where they'll be, the ads we serve when they cross into our fences will inherently be more relevant because they are by virtue served to people in these zones of high relevance. It also allows advertisers to focus on building their impression share in specific geographies that they may not be able to focus a large traditional media budget on. And then that second one, from a value standpoint, geofencing does an excellent job of adding to a media mix, specifically toward that more bottom portion of the marketing funnel. The benefit of geofencing is really in its ability to serve massive amounts of impressions to target customers for a fraction of the value of traditional media. We're talking in the range of $7 to $10 a thousand.
Where are the impressions being served then? Just on the phone?
It's actually, there's a cross-device ad service here. So the phone is really where it starts. The phone kind of acting as the GPS trigger to allow us to serve these ads is really where it starts. And from there, we're serving on different media properties within the digital space. A lot of them are in-app. So any of your apps that have location services turned on, you'll see ads popping up in any app that has ad real estate, weather.com and things like that, where you see digital ads. But these can also carry over into the more traditional digital spaces like desktop and browser as well.
So Tyler, since I know you do this for a lot of our clients, what kind of data can be accessed to determine potential customers to target?
We can do a lot of the normal demographic targeting that you're looking for with age, household income, gender, geographic location, a lot of those things, but there's also more advanced targeting opportunities based on the device that people are using. You can do contextual search matching, recent purchase history. their behavioral history, their interests, what they're looking at on the internet. We can get pretty specific on what people are doing.
So you can tell if somebody bought a boat, and then more than likely they might need water skis or a fishing pole.
Yes.
Wow.
What exactly is contextual search? I'm not familiar with that term.
So it's based on the keywords that people are using when they're searching on, search engines like Google, and you can match that based on keywords that are relevant to your campaign. It's like digital retargeting, if you're familiar with that technique.
I am.
But with search words. So rather than somebody, getting tagged by going to your website, well, we can tag them based on what they're looking at on Google.
So the geofence triggers that device is now feeding you data of what they've looked at in the past and
Correct.
those types of things. So then we can put them into the correct bucket of what our clients may want to message to them.
If they're searching things that we think a potential client would be looking for, that's another way to get them inside the fenced
universe
community.
Right, yeah.
I'm curious, how many times are these ads served to a potential customer? Because a lot of times I don't see ads, so does it get served to me several times, or how does that work?
You can put a limit on it, so some of them can be set, you can put maximum, so somebody can see them if you say no more than 3 times a day, 3 times a week, 3 times a month. You can do a upper ceiling limit if you want to, but you don't have to. There can be an unlimited amount. It's kind of based on the number of impressions that you are purchasing there. But you can limit them and hope to reach more people so you're not bombarding the same person over and over and over 17 times a day.
Yeah, because there's nothing more annoying than that.
Right. So for either one of you guys, when I asked before about formats, but what specific formats? Are these just static ads that appear within an app, or can they move? Can they be GIF files or video files or those types of things?
Yeah, a little bit of both. We actually have a client that's running both versions of those. So for the most part, we're serving these kind of digital ads in a variety of sizes to fit all these varying kind of outlets of real estate that I mentioned before. There's a whole range of placements from smaller in-app real estate to larger in-browser spaces. And they can be traditional, clickable, flat ads or animated GIFs.
Are potential customers constantly being tracked? And if they don't want to be tracked, is it possible to change a setting on a mobile device so that it can't be detected?
Well, if we're being honest here, almost everyone is on someone's radar. That's kind of the odd fact these days. That's not to say that you're constantly being tracked per se, but while your phone is a great tool, it's also basically its own GPS unit, and phones are constantly pinging satellites to update your location. Obviously, people can give their privacy some greater protection by choosing what apps use their location services, but your phone is still bouncing data off satellites every few seconds, and anytime you connect to a Wi-Fi network for that matter. So if you're one of those people that really don't want to be tracked, I'd say your best bet is probably to run down to a convenience store once a week and buy a burner.
Yeah.
Can't leave your phone.
Unfortunately, yeah.
And when you say apps, Rob, you're talking about like the Weather Channel and things of that nature that people use all the time to, make their life easier.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that, Nancy, because there are, upwards of 10 to 20 to 30 to 40 apps on anybody's phone.
Correct.
Even if you're not actively using them, so if you're not using Instagram or you're not using your Waze app or anything like that, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's not using your location. There are certain apps that constantly need to be refreshed to update your location should you use them. So there's a lot of stuff happening in the background.
Like Find My iPhone. Who turns that off? Have you ever had to use it? You love that app.
Except don't ever give a person your password to help you find your phone, Dan.
Don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So there's a good chance to be freaked out by this information, but if that's the case, pretend you didn't hear this and ignorance is bliss.
I know there's a lot of people out there selling this, in the media properties. I mean, you've even heard billboard companies are getting into this. There's a lot of people leveraging this technology now to enhance their income. What are some of the questions advertisers should be asking a potential vendor?
The best thing that a potential advertiser could be asking somebody who's offering this service is really about access to that inventory. So a lot of people that are selling this are actually reselling it. And it's a technology that's available, but it becomes, second or third or fourth party by the time certain people are selling it. And because of that, there's a lot of limitations to the potential media real estate that they're bidding on. Certain media properties might be beholden to a finite set of inventory that doesn't allow them a much wider range of things to bid on. So as an advertiser, I'd probably ask if there's any limits to the inventory that they're bidding on for media space. full disclosure, we go straight to the source for this data, so it's not being resold. It's being sold as a impartial amount of inventory across the country. So, major data providers like the major cell phone networks and things like that. So there is really
We're getting our data directly from that source.
Yeah, correct. So, we have no limits or competitive disadvantage to bid on any inventory out there.
I guess an important question too would be, is this all you do for a living? Because I could be a television station, I could be a radio station, I could be a newspaper organization, or even a billboard company that is actually selling their geofencing. This is what we all do for a living, right? You're digital marketing specialist, so that's your job, is focusing on their digital marketing efforts.
Yeah, correct. So this has become a product and a service that a lot of people are selling and offering to their client base. Some are traditionally not experts in this field. Some are people that are adapting to the changing times in traditional media. So a lot of media properties are offering geofencing or similar technology to clients who traditionally are buying more traditional media from them. And that's not to say that their data is any better or worse than ours, but we do this for a living. We are professionals that are dedicating daily effort to these campaigns, and we're experts in our field at this. So I think that's one advantage of offering it at this level, is that our modes of expertise in this, it's not as an accessory to something else that we're selling.
I suspect cost would be a factor too, because you don't want as many middlemen involved in the process. If we're direct to the provider, that makes us a little bit more cost effective as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. The relationship is just the one link away from us and our data provider. And because there's only that one link between us and them, we not only have an excellent amount of communication and real-time optimization potential and benefits like that, but we're also able to offer it at, what I would estimate half the cost of a lot of other people that are reselling it, because there's, one or two or three other middlemen taking a margin on it.
In the wonderful world of ROI these days, what kind of reporting do you get from when you run a campaign? Like, what does that stuff look like? What kind of information do you glean back?
Well, there's a lot of information available, and it's a matter of what people are looking to see from it and what they can understand and use. The amount of information you can get off the campaign can be something as basic as the number of impressions, the number of clicks, the number of conversions. People who went through a geofence and ended up in your location. You can see the cost per click-through rate, simple, basic things like that. But you can get much more in-depth and have it broken down, not just for your ad or for your total campaign, but based on each ad that you ran, the different creative, the different devices that it showed up on. But the other interesting data is you can see those statistics specifically from each geofence. So if you targeted 50 locations, you can see how many impressions were served to people that went into each geofence, and then how many of them converted and came to your business. There's the same thing when we talked about earlier about the keywords. You can see which keywords generated conversions. If you have multiple locations, which of your locations did people show up to?
So you actually see, if somebody triggers a geofence or triggers an event, you'll actually then see, did they actually show up at your location as well?
Correct.
Or that device showed up at your location?
Yes, and if you have multiple locations, it'll tell you which of those locations they showed up to.
That part's just amazing to me, that you could serve an ad someplace else within your virtual fence, right? And then you can find out that that person actually really did see your ad because they came into your property.
Yeah, it really closes the loop on a lot of the questions that we have when we have these really robust advertising campaigns that go out. The example that I like to kind of reference back to is outdoor. You do all the research on where the demo is and where the most impressions and eyes on the billboard are going to be, but you never know if they actually show up to your location or to your store. And with this, we know not only that they in fact did, but when they did and in response to what and when, and it's really remarkable.
A lot of advertisers that we've worked with over the years are they're constantly asking their customers, where did you hear about us? How did you see us? That type of stuff. And people just don't remember.
And now we can say,
happen. This takes any of that.
Yeah, glad you asked, because I can show you. Right.
None of that, all that subjectivity goes away.
Exactly. So what kind of costs are involved in all this? I mean, compare it to traditional advertising. How effective is it cost-wise?
It's extremely effective. So it's a bid-based media placement that's ultimately purchased at a cost per thousand basis. Again, it's usually in that kind of, at least at our level, it's about in that $7 to $10 per thousand range, at least here in the Milwaukee area. I'm sure there's varying rates out there. But right now we're finding great success with clients who are using geofencing at a few $1,000s net spend per month. And as far as creative costs, it really depends what the client has available from existing campaign efforts, or if custom ads need to be created for the campaign or something like that.
I love talking about success stories. Can you give us an example of a client success story using geofencing?
Yeah, same. We've got a couple to choose from, I guess. But there's one particularly that's the longest running geofencing campaign that we've had going here, and it's for a client in the professional cosmetics industry, and they've had really great success with it. So the long and the short of it is that they have 2 area locations, and their goal was to simply leverage some really solid special pricing offers to increase store traffic at these 2 locations. So the idea was to send out creative with these promotional offers of 2 different treatments available at each of their stores. And so we put together a list of all of those competitors in that geography. And then we went on a deeper dive with those areas of high relevance that I mentioned before. So other types of spas and gyms, specialty health food stores, medical spas, things like that. And we put together this really comprehensive list of competition in areas of high relevance to capture a really, really relevant target audience. And then we use geofencing to serve ads to those targets, again, at that right place, right time. And we've seen a major increase in conversions of those who were served these ads in these geofences to those who are physically entering these stores at a monthly level. And the client that we have done this for specifically has seen a huge uptick in store traffic at the level of 70 to 100 customers per month.
Yeah, that's remarkable.
It really is.
That's even selling it a little short. They did have 1 month with over 300.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and that's to say, too, that this is not a major Fortune 500 corporation. The technology works the same regardless of the client size. And a few $1,000s per month, you can get these hundreds of thousands, if not millions of impressions served with really good, actionable results from them at a fraction of the cost of traditional media.
So getting back to using the data that you get from these campaigns, I imagine even in targeting, you can add email lists to specific things or specific home addresses if you're trying to target a specific area. Can you serve them ads, or does this cross-platform work with things like OTT, over-the-top television advertising?
Yeah, they actually pair really well together. You can use one to kind of increase the effectiveness of the other. Specifically, if clients have email lists or even physical address lists of all of their customers, you can set up geofences at an individual home level to hit people with messaging and advertising at over the top. So that's any streaming television device like Apple TV or Roku or an Amazon Fire Stick or anything like that. Anytime a customer is streaming media through one of these that there's advertising run through, we're able to target those households specifically with video messaging over the top.
It's changing the game from a standpoint of you used to try to pick programming possibly that your potential audience would be likely to be watching. Well, this takes that out of the equation where we're just following the person now, no matter what they're choosing to watch. They could be watching a basketball game on TV or a rerun of Grey's Anatomy from 4 years ago. It really doesn't matter if they hit the criteria from their browsing history or where they've been, if they've been on a used car lot or been to an auto body shop. If you've been in an auto body shop, more than likely you've smashed your car. So that automatically puts you in the market for anything from a personal injury lawyer to a new automobile to
a rental car.
A rental car company.
It does a lot of the heavy lifting after the fact, too. People come up to me and talk about how surprised they are, as if it's ironic that they're seeing messaging of places that they've patronized before. So people that go to Buffalo Wild Wings for dinner wonder why they're seeing Buffalo Wild Wings commercials when they go home and stream, whatever on Hulu. And, that's no accident. And that's where OTT and geofencing technology has the ability to really boost that piece of the market funnel with brand consistency and brand recall. And it really does a lot of the heavy lifting that way.
And I suppose it's really good for loyalty programs as well.
Can be, yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you think about the access to anybody's, proprietary list, if it's a list worth sending loyalty type messaging to, you can customize that message and serve it to the people that are intended to get it.
Okay, so if somebody wants to chat with you about geofencing and OTT ad delivery, what's the best way to connect with either you or Tyler?
Well, the best way to connect with either of us is probably by email. We'd love to set up a call to chat and talk through campaign specifics and goals and strategy. And you can shoot either of us an email. I'm Rob at platypus-ad.com. And
Similarly, you can reach me at Tyler at platypus-ad.com.
Got
And
it.
you're both on LinkedIn, and people would want to reach any of us.
If you'd like to stalk me
You
on
can
the
find
internet,
us.
it's
Right.
not difficult to do.
Right.
Okay, so to everyone listening today, if you like what you've heard, please don't forget to share, review, and subscribe to Brandstorm.
This is Dan Trzinski along with Nancy Christopher at Platypus Advertising and Design, an awesome company that creates perceptions that influence choice for a variety of regional, national, and global brands on a daily basis. We hope you'll join us next week for another episode of Brandstorm.